3:27, right? Very early. Now interpretation is okay, right? Interpretation is okay. I'm ready. Okay, now we will pay homage to the Buddha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Today is just for meditators, right? Those who can meditate well can achieve this kind of consciousness. That is a Rupavajra consciousness. So we have already mentioned before, 5-4 method. So when we talk about the first jhana, then we also have known the 5 jhana factors. Vidaka, Vichara, Piti, Sukha, Ekakata. So when these jhana factors work together, then it also subsides hindrances. It can also overcome hindrances. That is the nature of the first jhana. So when we are going to talk about the first jhana, then we also have to remember the object of jhana. So we have already mentioned before, the object of jhana is the Pratibhaka nimitta, not the jhana factors. So many times people misunderstood when they can feel or experience some jhana factors, they thought they had attained jhana. But in reality, when we can know jhana factors, we are not in the jhana. So when the first jhana arises, we have 7 universal, as usual. I think you may have already known what's 7 universal, right? Previous topic also, I do the same thing, the same slide, the same animation. You can count all the 7 one after another by yourself, right? So we have already mentioned, here when we talk about Phassa, for example, that means it will connect between Anapana Pratibhaka nimitta and the mind. We call mind contact. This is called Phassa. Now when we talk about feeling, Vedana, so in the first jhana we have Sukha. pleasant feeling. So experiencing the nimitta, then also we may experience blissful, pleasant feeling, knowing the object. We can also understand another way, enjoying the taste of object, enjoying the bliss of object. So when seeing or when experiencing Pratipaka nimitta, we feel blissful. That kind of experience is called feeling vedana. With sanya, we perceive or we understand that is a Pratipaka nimitta. Then similarly, we have volition. Then it will reinforce our mind and all other associated mental factors to keep knowing the Pratipaka nimitta. Then we also have ekakata, one-pointedness. That means we just keep knowing only Pratipaka nimitta without knowing any other subject. That is the nature of mental factors. Then as usual, jividendriya, life faculty. So this is also one of the supporting causes to maintain the lifespan of mentality. Then finally, manasikara, we pay attention to Pratipaka nimitta. So these factors will work together to know Pratipaka nimitta. Then among these miscellaneous, we can also do the same. All the 6 miscellaneous or 6 centuries. As we have mentioned before, Vittaka, Vichara, right, initial application and sustained application. Then not only that, we can also know the object as like a determination. We can say this is a right object. This is about Dhimmakha, right? Then Viriya, we have mental energy, mind power to keep knowing the object. Then Piti, rapture or joy when seeing Pratipaka nimitta. Then Chana, desire. So when we have all these things, they are called wholesome, right? This is jhana. In the case of jhana, these are wholesome. I have already mentioned before these 7 universals and 6 miscellaneous. Okay, we can say 6 occasions also possible, right? Then they can be both wholesome and unwholesome. But here we are talking about jhana. They are wholesome. So you can also imagine jhana factors. Vittaka in the miscellaneous. Vichara in the miscellaneous. Also piti in the miscellaneous. Sukha from the 7 universals. Ekakata from the 7 universals. So these are mental factors. They are working as jhana factors. Okay, when we have to continue the next one, 19 beautiful mentalities. I will not explain all the 90 in detail. You can also imagine the same. These are totally beautiful, right? Only wholesome. So when wholesome mind arises, then these 19 will arise together. Okay, here we have to introduce a few things. That is a true immeasurable. Karuna and mudita. So when we can radiate metta, we can also attain the first jhana. Why it just mention only karuna and mudita? Why is it metta? Actually, among the 7 universals, we have adosa. This adosa is metta. So when we radiate metta also, we can attain the first jhana, the second jhana, the third jhana, the fourth jhana, according to 5-4 method. Similarly, when we can radiate mudita, when we can attain jhana, we can also attain jhana. The first jhana, the second jhana, the third jhana, the fourth jhana, and the fivefold method. So you have already learned in our daily chant, right? You may have already remember all the daily chant. How we do homi, for example, right? Ready to meditate to ourselves. Then we can also to sabi satta awira hondu, abhyapacha hondu, aniga hondu, sukhya danambriharandu. These are metta. When we can radiate metta well, we can attain jhana. Then similarly, dukkha muchandu, karuna. By radiating karuna also we can attain jhana. Jatalata sampatido mavika chandu, mudita. By radiating mudita also we can attain jhana. Only the last one, kamasaka, in the first jhana. Okay, now here in the first jhana, there will be karuna and mudita, two immeasurable. So the last one, mostly people also say, sometimes it's just jhana, not jnana. You may have known this kind of statement, taught by some teacher. Sometimes it's just jhana, not jnana. Right? We have this kind of understanding, this kind of interpretation. Actually, here we have a panyaniya, panya, wisdom. Without wisdom, we cannot attain jhana. So we can also understand another way. Whenever jhana arises, there will be wisdom. Wisdom also arises. That is why this is also important. Panyaniya, panya or wisdom. So these are mental factors that arise together with the first jhana. So unluckily, right? If I write down all the mental factors one by one, it will take too long. That's why I just make animation. Easier. I can include all the mental factors in one slideshow. Right? So you can calculate by yourself also, right? All the blinking, just step one by one. Here I just mentioned, right? 5 animation. So you can calculate among the 4. So the first one and the last one is just only one thing, right? Just make blinking. Okay, this is the first jhana. Similarly, when we talk about the second jhana, only 4 jhana factors without vidaka. Then also, there may be some question, how is it possible without vidaka? We can know, without directing our mind to know the object, how is it possible? Of course, by the power of first jhana, right? Based on first jhana, we have to couldn't use the second jhana. That is why. So, first jhana power, use vidaka, but second jhana, without vidaka, we couldn't use. For example, when you are walking as a kid, elderly people have to help you to stand, to walk. You will call it 4 times many times. But gradually, when your leg becomes stronger, you can walk by yourself. Similarly, when we are mature, we don't need anybody help. We can do by ourselves. Now here, second jhana. Without vitaka, it can walk by itself. It can keep knowing the object. In the second jhana also, we may have 7 universal as usual. But for about 6 sundries or 7 miscellaneous, we have to exclude vitaka, initial application. That is why there will be only 5 miscellaneous. 5 miscellaneous mental factors. So I will not elaborate all these 5 because I have already explained in the first jhana, right? Okay, as usual, we may have 19 beautiful mental feathers. Now we also have 2 immeasurable. We also have wisdom. So these are the mental feathers. Actually, all the things I was saying to the first jhana, only one thing is a minus. That is a vitaka. No more vitaka. All other mental feathers are the same. Then similarly, the third jhana. 7 universal, the same. 19 beautiful, the same. 2 immeasurable, the same. Panyandriya, the same. Only miscellaneous. In the third jhana, no more vichara. Only piti, sukha and ekagata, only 3 jhana feathers. Okay, one more thing here. People also misunderstand, right? When they experience very strong piti, they thought they have attained the third jhana. They also have that kind of misunderstanding, right? Okay, briefly, there are 6 miscellaneous. Among the 6, we have already excluded vitaka and vichara. It will remain only 4. So we can also check, right? Only the 4 here. Adhimokha, Viriya, Piti, and Chanda. Only 4 mental feathers among the miscellaneous. These are the third jhana. Then when we go to the fourth jhana, it's also the same. Not much changing. Only a few things is about miscellaneous. So in the fourth jhana, there are only 2 jhana feathers, sukha and ekagata. So sukha is actually from 7 universal. Ekagata is also from 7 universal. Right? So that is why among the miscellaneous, we can say no more piti. So vitaka, vichara, piti, 3 are excluded. There will be only 3 miscellaneous. The first one is Adhimokha, Viriya, and Chanda. Only 3 miscellaneous will be changeable here. But when we are going to talk about the 4th jhana, 7 universals, the same. 3 miscellaneous will be the same. Beautiful mental feather will be the same. One more thing here. In the 5th jhana, no more karuna, no more mudita. Only wisdom. So that means by radiating karuna and mudita, we cannot attain the 5th jhana. We can attain up to the 4th jhana. According to 4-4 method, we can attain up to the 3rd jhana. We cannot attain the 4th jhana. But this is the nature of jhana. Then here we have to elaborate a few more things about the 4th jhana. So in the 4th jhana, it just mentioned upekha and ekagata. Upekha is a kind of feeling. So when we talk about feeling, we have already mentioned we have 5 types of feeling. Sukha, dukkha, come from bodily, pleasant and unpleasant. Now we also have somanasa, happiness or pleasure. Then domanasa, displeasure. After that, ubekha, equanimity. So here in the 5th jhana, ubekha is also one of the feeling. Of course, ekagata is very clear. One pointedness. We have to keep knowing one object. So these are the mental factors that arise together with the fifth jhana. Okay, now we have to move Arba Vajra Chitta. So Arba Vajra Chitta also, we already mentioned before, there are 4 Arba Vajra Chitta. The first one is Akasananja, boundless space. So boundless space jhana also based on Kasina. So without attaining Kasina 5th jhana, we cannot continue practicing Akasananjarana, boundless space attainment. So this is also not for beginner. So when we study Abhidhamma Sangha, it doesn't mention how many jhana factors that arise together with Akasananjarana. Actually, there are only 2 jhana factors, same to the 5th jhana, Ubekha Ekagata, equanimities and one-pointedness. Now we also have boundless consciousness, Vijnana jhana. Also, it will be the same when we can attain Vijnana jhana also. So based on Akasananjarana jhana, we can continue Vijnana. So, okay, we should say easier example, right? So there's a pillar. Then the first person will lean against the pillar. Second person will lean against the first person. So similarly, Akasananjarana jhana based on Kasina. Then Vijnana jhana must take Akasanana jhana as an object. Without that, it's impossible. When the pillar fall down, 2 persons will fall down. Okay, now we have another one, nothingness jhana against Jnana jhana. This one also take the absence of Akasananjarana jhana. Because sometimes people also misunderstand. Not knowing anything might become blur, and also at that time they thought they have attained nothingness jhana. In reality, nothingness jhana is the absence of Akasananjarana jhana. So they are connected. So without the first jhana, there will be no second, no third. Okay, now again, we have the last one, neither perception or non-perception. Nivasanyana jhana. So in this jhana also, it will be the same. It will take Akasanana jhana as object. So these are connected. So when we are going to talk about its association, actually they are same to the 5th jhana. 7 universals, we don't need to say, it will be always, right? Then we also have only 3 miscellaneous, without Vidaka, Vicharan and Piti. Then we also have beautiful, 19 beautiful mental factors. As usual, there will be wisdom, panya. These are associated mental factors for all these 4 jhana. So when we are learning about material jhana, right? First jhana have different number, second jhana also different number, the third jhana, 4th jhana, 5th jhana different number. But what about immaterial jhana? All the 4 jhana, they have the same number of associated mental factors. They also have the same jhana factors. Okay, one more thing here. Material jhana will make different by jhana factors. But immaterial jhana is made different by the object. Every single jhana have different object. It will be very messy. Right? So these are jhana and associated mental factors. So from time to time, when you listen Dhamma Talk, you may have already listened some part of jhana Dhamma, right? Whenever we talk about jhana Dhamma, it refers to jhana and its associated mental factors. Okay, one more thing here for your information. Last year, when somebody asked something about momentary concentration, I have already talked about how is it momentary concentration. Right? When we go and read Visuddhimagga, Samanapasadika, and also Visamidamagga commentary, we can find the same statement. Then they are mentioned entering into jhana, imagine from any of jhana. After that, discern jhana dhamma. So that means you have to discern all types of jhana here, right? All types of mentality. For example, first jhana, you have to discern all the mentality with the first jhana. So after that, we have to contemplate jhana dhamma as anicca dukkha anatta. At the moment of vipassana, the momentary concentration arises. That is the statement in the commentary. So that is why sometimes when we talk about jhana dhamma, we must remember all these jhana and its associated mental factors. These are called jhana dhamma. Of course, we also have to know rupa. Right? We also have to discern rupa also. Okay, if we summarize, rupa can be many. We have many rupa all over the body. I'm not sure I may have opportunity to explain all rupa here or not. I'm not sure. Right? But anyway, it will be many rupa. Okay, we have already mentioned something about the object of jhana. That's it, like pratibhagga nimitta. For the first jhana, second jhana, third jhana, fourth jhana, up to fifth jhana. But in the case of immaterial jhana, different jhana have different objects. Then, okay, let's talk about pratibhagga nimitta. If we are practicing anapanasati, then this breathing is also mind-produced materialities. This is also rupa. When we are going to practice kasina, for example, earth kasina, so natural earth will be temperature-produced materialities. This is the object of the object of kasina, jhana. So that means the objects are also rupa. So we have to discern all the nama and rupa. We have to contemplate as anicca dukkha anatta. At the time there will be momentary concentration. Because our mind will pay attention to momentary rising and perishing of nama rupa. Okay, these are Arubha Vajra Citta and Arupa Vajra Citta. We can also summarize, these are jhana dhamma. Okay, now we have to move the next one, Lokuttara Citta. So you have already know what is Lokuttara Citta. We have already mentioned Sodapati Magga, Sodapati Phala, Sakadagami Magga, Sakadami Phala, Nagami Magga, Nagami Phala, Hada Magga, Hada Phala. We already mentioned, right? So when we study Ratana Sutta, you may also know this stanza. Sawasa Dasana Samaraya Dayasu Dhamma Jahita Bondi Sakaya Diti Wichi Kishi Tanja Silabadawa Vijayati Kinchi. Right? You may have memorized this stanza maybe. When somebody asks how many defilements are eradicated by Sadapati Magga, of course there will be many other explanations. So according to Ratana Sutta, it's very clear. Right? Sakaya Ditti Vichikicha Tenja. So that means Sakaya Ditti, identity view, Vichikicha, doubt. After that we also have Silabata Paramasa, believing in right and ritual. Right? Then this will be eradicated by Sadapati Magga. Okay, actually Silabata Paramasa also Ditti, wrong view. Anyway, so every single path and fruition knowledge, there will be some eradication, except in Sakadagami Magga, right? Sakadagami Phala. So when we are talking about Lokuttara Citta and their associated mental fetters, also not much different from before. It will be all 7 universals, as usual. Now you have already know what's that called 7 universal, right? We have already calculated many times. Also, we also have 6 miscellaneous. We got 6 sceneries, right? It will arise together all the time. So we don't need to explain that one. Now we also have 19 beautiful mental fetters. So I have already mentioned beautiful mental fetters will arise together with all the kusala Kiriya, right? Especially the beautiful consciousnesses. Then previously, when we talk about sensual sphere consciousness, Kusala Citta, we also have already mentioned 3 abstinences. Samavaja, Samagamanta, Samaajiva, these 3. So these 3, when we talk about normal wholesome karma, they are occasional. They cannot arise together. But when we can attain path and fruition knowledge, these 3 will arise together. So previously when we talk about jhana, it doesn't mention 3 abstinences. Right? We just talk about only Karuna Mudita. We don't talk about Samavaja, Samakamana, Samaajiva. Why these are not explained in the jhana? Why these are excluded in the jhana? Of course, these are morality. So morality must be prerequisites of jhana. They are not at the moment of jhana. Even last night, right? One question I asked something about practice, right? We have to do panya first, after that go to samadhi and then sila. Do you remember how I replied this one? Right? We must attain Ahadashya first, right? After that go to samatha and go to morality. This is the actually misunderstanding. Okay, the main thing is, when we are going to talk about Samavaja, Samakamana, Samaajiva, these are morality. One more thing, these are also 3 of Noble Eightfold Paths. Right? So when path knowledge arises, all the Noble Eightfold Paths will arise together. You know, jhana, anga, jhananga, jhana fetters. Here, mekanga, meka, anga, the fetter of meka. These 8 will arise. That's why these Samavaja, Samakamana, Samaajiva, these 3 also can arise together with path knowledge or fruition knowledge. As usual, this we also call path knowledge and fruition knowledge, right? Then, Panyaniya, Panya. Of course, without wisdom, right? Without wisdom, we cannot attain any path and fruition knowledge. So although we have many different types of Magga Phala, path and fruition knowledge. Roughly, all these will associate. The same number of questions that can associate. One more thing here. I have already mentioned jhana together with Lokuttara Citta. Right? For example, if Sarabhati Mekha associated with the first jhana, then we have to review the first jhana. Okay, I will talk about first jhana, mental fetters, right? But plus 3 viridi, 3 abstinences. Okay, we can also calculate in the first jhana, we already mentioned 7 universal, 6 miscellaneous, 19 beautiful mental fetters, was 2 abhamanya, right? 2 abhamanya cannot arise together, one after another. But this we consider occasional. Then after that wisdom, now we go to plus samavacha, samakamana, samajiva. So again, when we talk about other jhana that associate with Lokuttara Citta also, if second jhana, okay, we can also say plus samaja, samakamana, samajiva. Okay, one more thing here. Lokuttara Citta, path and fruition knowledge cannot arise together with abhamanya. Karuna mudita cannot arise with Lokuttara Citta. Why they cannot arise? Lokuttara Citta will take nirvana as object. Right? So that means only in Lokuttara Citta we can take nirvana as object. There's only one object, no other object for path and fruition knowledge. Similarly, for about Karuna Mudita, they have fixed object already. Karuna will take suffering being as object. Mudita will take happy living being as object. That's why they cannot arise together with Lokuttara Citta. So, if we review Sarabhati Mekha, the first jhana, for example, then we have to talk about 7 universal, 6 miscellaneous, 19 beautiful, after that 3 abstinences, na panya, without abhamanya, without immeasurable. So for about second jhana, that jhana, 4th jhana, we can also exclude it, right? Vitaka, vichara, biti, and so forth. It will be changeable number. Okay, these are the nature of Lokuttara Citta and how they arise. Okay, now we should talk about overall of all the Citta and Cittasika. Though we have Citta, consciousness, we also have a Cittasika, mental fetters. If we combine these 2 together, we call Nama, mentality. Then again, every single mental fetters have their own nature, their own characteristics. But when they are going to take the object, they are called Nama. We also have the nature of Nama. Nama means incline or inclination. That means when our mind inclined to know something, we can know. When our mind inclined to see something, we can see. This is called Nama. So as we have a Nama Rupa together, okay, for example, we have visible object. We also have sound, audible object. We also have odor or smell. We also have taste or flavor. We also have tangible object, touching or feeling, sensation. We also have thinking or understanding in our minds. So whatever thought process arises, then there will be different mind moment. So tomorrow I'm going to talk about mental process, that's why I have to introduce a little bit here. Then we have already mentioned many different consciousness and associated mental factors, right? They are working as a group, taking the same object. When they can know the color when seeing something, there will be mental process. Similarly, when hearing, there will be mental process. Smelling, tasting, touching, every single object we know, there's a mental process. That means many mental processes combine together to know one thing. So that means within one finger snap, many of mind moments can arise and perish as a city. So lifespan of mentality is faster than materiality. So that means lifespan of mentality is 70 times faster than materialities. So for example, when we take the color, so that the color will last 17 mind moments. After the color also cease, mental process also finish. We have that kind of working nama rupa. Okay, now we are doing kusala akusala every day. Then we also have wholesome mental process, unwholesome mental process. When seeing also, they give me wholesome, unwholesome mental process. When hearing also, wholesome mental process, unwholesome mental process. So every daily activity, whatever object we know, there will be mental process. As ordinary people, we are only two, wholesome and unwholesome. Sotapanna also the same, wholesome and unwholesome. Then Sakadagami and Nagami will be the same, wholesome and unwholesome in the process. But what about Arahats, Vajjika Buddha, and the Buddha? Their mental process will not be wholesome or unwholesome. Their mental process will be only functional. This thing will be different. Okay, not only that, when we are practicing very well, when we contain jhana, jhana also have mental process. Jhana mental process. And when we are entering jhana also, entering jhana mental process. Not only that, when we are practicing vipassana also, vipassana mental process. When we attain path and fruition only also, path and fruition, this is also mental process. When we enter into fruition attainment, this is also mental process. So that means every daily activities, there's a mental process. So today we have just finished talking about grouping mentalities. So yesterday also I have already mentioned why we have to know grouping. If we know they are arising as a group, we can know the nature of anatta, non-self. Again, when we can know the city of mind moment arising and perishing, we can also have very strong perceptions of anicca, impermanent. If we know this, all the mentalities are arising and perishing very repeatedly, all the rupa kalpas in the body are arising and perishing very repeatedly, we can understand the nature of anicca, impermanent, clearer. So to break down comparatedness, we need to discern all types of mentalities and materialities, and arising as a group, arising as a city. If we can break down all these comparatedness, our inside knowledge will become stronger and sharper. It will be more effective for improvement. Okay, one more thing to make correction. Last night, I don't know who asked this question, maybe Zoom or here. But for example, for Arahat, right? It's possible to arise only Kriya Chitta without Hasitupada. I have already answered, right? Only Hasitupada. Actually, it's also possible, Kriya Chitta, functional happiness, without Hasitupada also, right? This is just for correction, that's not answer. Okay, I will stop here. May you all be able to write the 3 trainings, and may you all be able to realize final cessation and no suffering. Okay.
Bandami Sayadaw, when our parts are swollen, how can we do Asubha Bhavana meditation?
How many Asubha?
Yes, when our parts are swollen.
Our body was swollen. Okay. Which part is swollen? The swollen part is Asubha. Okay. Swelling, bleeding, and that's a pus. No? If there's a pus in the body, some injury also there's a pus, right? Then this also can be like a rash in some rash, right? There's also blister, right? Rash. There's also repulsive, also Asubha. That is the teeth also, right? You can see your teeth in the mirror first. If you think it's beautiful, you will not feel repulsive, right? So after eating, if you see, you can feel repulsive more. Right? So that means as a living body, we can have only swelling body part. Any part of body is swelling, there's also Asubha. Bleeding, also Asubha. Pus, also Asubha. Teeth, also Asubha. You can see your teeth, right?
So now there is question on Zoom. So now the Metta Parami and Metta Jhana, is there different? And how to cultivate Metta Parami in the right way?
Okay, it will be a few different conditions for Metta Parami and Metta Jhana. That means without attaining jhana, so you can have Metta Parami. Right? So for example, you love all the living beings equally. This is called metta, right? That means you don't favor anybody. You just favor equally. This is called metta, right? Another thing is, metta is also opposite of dosa. Hatred, anger, ill will, also cruelty, right? Opposite of all these factors. So if we have metta, you know no more cruelty. Also, your mind is not very rude. You may be polite, right? In this kind of case, we can say this power of metta. Now, like this, when you have metta, you have very strong kanti, patient or forbearance. So whenever there's a kanti, there's a metta. Okay, one more thing. If you can forgive somebody's mistake easily, that is called kanti. This is also called metta. Okay? Okay, now, any other question?
Bandami Sayadaw. Sayadaw, I have heard one Arahata, Webu Sayadaw, he practiced only diligently Anapanasati whole life. I don't know, but is it possible to attain Arahatship by only one Kamathana, only by Anapanasati, Sayadaw?
I don't know how he practiced also, right? Anyway, that means when we talk about only one meditation subject, There can be many different foundations. For example, Anapana as a foundation, right? It can be asset concentration, or it can be absorption concentration. Based on that, we can also use Anapana jhana. If we don't take jhana, also we can do 4 elements, Rupa meditation, Nama meditation. Gradually, we can also go to Vipassana. So that means any meditation subject can be foundations of Vipassana, not only Anapanasati. Right?
That means Arahata, before becoming Arahata, that all process should be done. People only misperceive that he only do Anapanasati, but I heard like that.
Just knowing breathing is impossible. Breathing is a concept, not ultimate reality, right? So when we are going to do nature to Canada, it must be ultimate reality, not concept. These two are opposites, right? Yeah, no more question? Okay. Today also very happy topic, right? Tomorrow we'll be happy again.
Dạ thưa Sa Đọ, con có thể dùng thiền tâm hỷ để làm thiền bảo hộ không ạ?
Okay.
So can he use mudita bhavana as a protective meditation subject?
Metta?
Mudita.
Mudita. Actually, we don't mention mudita as a protective meditation. Only metta as a protective meditation, right? Of course, if we use karuna also possible, but mostly the purpose of protective meditation has different. For example, we have metta to overcome anger or hatred or worry, anxiety, that one, right? So sometimes, in the case of karuna, worry also can pretend as a karuna. You know, that's why we don't mention as a protective meditation. Another thing is asubha. When we have too much attachment or lustful minds, this is also protective meditation. Now, for about marananusati, that means if we are too much negligent, a lot of plan and project, right? Then we can do maranusati. Then Buddhanusati is when we lost our confidence, then we can do Buddhanusati. So the purpose of protective meditation is overcoming lobha, dosa, moha, also to gain faith. Okay?
One question in the chat. I cannot understand the object of nivasanyana sanyayatana jhana.
Actually, nivasanyana jhana will take. Okay, now here. Okay, peacefulness of nothingness jhana. So that means we have to pay attention to nothingness jhana as a peacefulness. Then pay attention to that, we can take nivasanyana jhana. Okay? Then, another question? Oh, no more. Okay. Today, even, one more, okay.
Last night, Sayadaw said that at the time of Magga and Phala, the mind will take Nibbana as the object. I
Sure.
also know a statement saying that Nibbana is the cessation state of Nama and Rupa. So the mind takes Nibbana and the cessation of the Nama mind. How should I understand these two correctly?
Okay. So that means when we attain path and fusion knowledge, our mind will take the cessation of Nama Rupa, right? That means we have mind. Okay, we have mentality. That mentality will know Nibbana as an object. Okay, one more thing here. There are some, I think that question I may have some knowledge about different tradition. I also have known that kind of tradition. That means there are some tradition they say, in the case of Nama Rupa, you don't know anything. Right? You don't, all Nama also cease, Rupa also cease, you don't know anything. This is called Sodapati Magga, Sakadani Magga, like that, right? That kind of interpretation also have. But in reality, we have a mind, then we have mentality. Our mentality will know cessation of Nama Rupa as an object. Okay, now for example, you are listening. That means your mental process will take sound as an object. Right? But when you are entering into fusion attainment, or when you attain path and fusion knowledge, you don't know anything. Any sound, any other, you just know the cessations of Nama Rupa. Okay? That means we have mentality. Our mentality cannot take any sensual object or Nama or Rupa, anything. Right? You know? Okay, no? No more? Okay, very early. Today is the shortest and the earliest maybe, huh? Huh? More complicated, sure. More complicated, less question now. Okay. If no question, we can share right now, right? Okay.
So is it correct to understand that the cessation is the cessation of the clinging to the Nama and Rupa?
No. Cessation of Nama Rupa, not clinging, right? If there's a no Nama Rupa, no clinging also. Right? Okay. Any question? No more.
There is question said, Sayadaw, please explain on the Arupa object again.
Oh, Arupa object? Again? Okay. Okay. Right? Akasana Jarana Jhana, right? It will take boundless space as object. Boundless space, right? Be careful, right? That means you can expand space kasina, removing all other kasina, right? For example, enter into other kasina up to fifth jhana, emerging from it. Okay, there are many processes. Okay, I will skip all the process, it was very messy, right? After that, expanding other kasina, you have to discern space on it. So expand space again, removing all the agasina, then it must be boundless space. Now, if you can focus on the boundless space, removing agasina, for example, then you can enter into the first immaterial jhana, akasana jhana, boundless space, right? The second one, boundless consciousness. So boundless consciousness will take boundless space jhana as object. Okay, that means jhana consciousness as object. That's why boundless consciousness. Then again, we have nothingness jhana. Agajnana jhana will take the absence of akasanaja, the first jhana. Okay. Right? The third one will take the absence of the first jhana. For example, when you are entering second immaterial jhana, no more first immaterial jhana anymore, right? The absence of first immaterial jhana as an object. Then the last one, nirvasanyana jhana will take peacefulness of nothingness jhana. That's why every single jhana may have different object. Okay.
Sayadaw, please elaborate more. What is Abhidhamma Anatta means?
Okay. So we just say sabbe sankhara anicca, right? Sabbe sankhara dukkha, as I mentioned, right? So sabbe dhamma anatta. In this case, Nirvana also included. And Nirvana also anatta, out of our control. But we cannot say Nirvana as anicca dukkha. Right? So this is the nature of sabbe dhamma anatta.
There is a question about Anapanasati. I'm practicing Anapanasati at home and sit about 3 to 4 hours, 2 to 3 sections. I feel that 1 hour sitting is more comfortable and seems has better result than the longer one. When sitting the longer sessions, I feel that being exhausted at the last stage of the sitting, although the light is still remain. Can Sayadaw give me some advices that how should sit more short sitting or continue sitting longer section?
Okay, when you have good concentration, I recommend to sit longer. When you have very bad focusing, I don't recommend to sit very long time. Right? Okay, one more thing. Sometimes, if you cannot balance your effort very well, okay, we can say another way. When your effort is up and down, then you put too much effort again, relax, the normal focusing, I rather make a little bit more effort, I rather normal focusing like this, right? If you do like this, you will become very tired. If very frequently you do like this, within 1 hour, you will become very tired. If you put very strong effort continuously, then within 20 minutes, you will become exhausted. So that is why save energy, more balancing effort, it will be easier for you to maintain long time. No more question. Okay, now we can share merit, right? Etawadaja amehi Sambadam Bunya Sambaram Sabbe Deva Numodandu Sabbe Buddha Numodandu Sabbe Saddha Numodandu Sabba Sambati Siriya Idame Nyadinam Hodu Sukhita Hondu Nyadayo Idame Nyadinam Hodu Sukhita Hondu Nyadayo Idame Nyadinam Hodu Sukhita Hondu Nyadayo Idame Bunya Asawakaya Waham Hodu Idame Bunyam Nibbanasa Bhajayo Hodu Mama Bunya Bhagam Savasadanam Bhajemi Te Sabhe Me Samam Bunya Bhagam Lavandu Sadhu Sadhu Sadhu